Put the last 7 completed days in front of you. Not the week you intend to live when everything settles down. Not the beautiful schedule you would design if somebody handed you perfect energy and unlimited control. I mean the week that actually happened. Monday through Sunday. Put it on trial. You say you desire love. You say spiritual growth matters. You say meaningful connection is important. Good. But the most honest account of a priority is not what you announce. It is what repeatedly receives your limited time. Desire speaks. Structure testifies. Watch the contradiction. A person says, I have no time for relationships. Yet night after night, a late evening block is surrendered to feeds, streaming, unnecessary browsing, and entertainment that was never consciously chosen. They did not decide to spend 2 hours there. They simply arrived, remained, and disappeared. Then a friend calls. A meaningful conversation requires attention, or a growth practice asks for commitment, and suddenly the schedule becomes very serious. Do not get defensive. Get curious. Now, take a breath, because this is not condemnation. Some hours are already spoken for. Fixed work is real. Caregiving is real. Health limitations are real. Household responsibilities are real. Financial pressure and demanding seasons are real. Constraints are not moral failures. They are conditions to understand. We are not accusing your life. We are examining its present design. Write down 2 preliminary totals. First, how much time during the last 7 completed days did you deliberately invest in the priorities you declare? Not time you hope to give, time you can identify. Second, how much time disappeared without a conscious decision? Do not interpret the totals yet. Just record them honestly. No drama, no excuses. Evidence first. Now write this proposition down. A calendar cannot reveal your worth, but it can reveal what your present life is structured to sustain. Your value is not being measured in hours. Your capacity is. Those are not the same thing. You may be deeply worthy of love while living inside a week that cannot presently sustain the presence, patience, recovery, and responsibility love requires. We are going to examine this calendar through 6 lenses: distraction, availability, priorities, recovery, relationships, and purpose. We will not rush to conclusions, because an empty hour may not mean available energy, and a full hour may still reveal a choice. Keep those 2 totals visible. The question is no longer merely, what do I want? The question is, what does my repeated use of time currently make possible? Before we judge the calendar, we must define exactly what readiness means. So what does the calendar measure? Not the sincerity of your desire. You may sincerely want partnership. You may pray for it, think about it, prepare emotionally for it, and still lack the present structure required to honor another person consistently. Sincerity matters, but sincerity is not capacity. Write these 3 words down: desire, availability, readiness. They are related, but they are not interchangeable. Desire is what you sincerely want. Desire names the destination. It gives direction to your longing, but it does not build the road. You can want something deeply without yet possessing the habits that can carry it responsibly. Availability is usable time joined to attention and energy. Watch that definition. Usable time, attention, energy. An hour may be empty on the calendar and still not be available in practice. If you enter that hour exhausted, agitated, mentally scattered, or desperate to withdraw, the clock may be open while your presence is closed. That does not make you selfish. It means the hour requires interpretation. We will examine recovery and margin before deciding what that empty space can truly hold. Now, readiness. Readiness is capacity expressed through repeatable conduct. Say it again. Capacity expressed through repeatable conduct. Not a powerful feeling on Sunday and a completely different pattern by Wednesday. Not a promise about the person you intend to become once someone arrives. Readiness becomes visible through what you can practice, protect, repair, and return to across an ordinary week. Here is the principle. Write it down and repeat it aloud. Readiness must appear in the week before it can be trusted as a future intention. That sentence may confront you, but it also gives you power. If readiness were merely a mysterious feeling, you would have to wait for it. But capacity can be developed, attention can be trained, boundaries can be established, margin can be created. conduct can become repeatable. This is why we need a time budget. A time budget is the actual distribution of your finite hours, including what you deliberately assigned and what passive defaults claimed without permission. Every priority competes for placement. If a priority has no protected place, it becomes dependent on leftovers. And leftovers are unreliable. Whatever is always told, "I will get to you when everything else is finished," is rarely being treated as a priority, no matter how warmly it is described. Do not misunderstand the audit. It is diagnostic, not predictive. A well-ordered week cannot guarantee that a relationship will begin. A crowded or disordered week does not sentence you to loneliness. But the audit can uncover patterns that would strain connection. Inconsistent attention, no room for repair, neglected recovery, or commitments that survive only when nothing interrupts them. So keep your desire. Do not apologize for it. Just stop asking desire to prove what only conduct can demonstrate. Now that the terms are clear, return to the last 7 completed days. We are going to account for all 168 hours, not to debate your intentions, but to understand the capacity your week actually carried. Begin with the one number that will not negotiate with you, 168. 7 days gave you 168 hours, no more, no less. Your first responsibility is to discover where they went. Do not subtract from memory alone. Memory favors what was dramatic and forgets what was repeated. Use whatever records are available: your calendar, work schedule, screen report, receipts, messages, appointment history, and ordinary recollection. You are not conducting an investigation worthy of a courtroom. You are building an honest ledger. Accuracy matters, but false precision does not. If you cannot prove whether something lasted 42 minutes or 47, call it 45 and keep moving. Reconstruct the week in 30 or 60-minute blocks. Start with sleep, work, commuting, caregiving, appointments, and other fixed obligations. Then account for meals, hygiene, cleaning, errands, and household maintenance. Keep going until the entire week has somewhere to belong. If you stop with only the memorable events, you will produce an impressive schedule and an inaccurate life. Now classify every block. Write these categories down: fixed obligations, maintenance, intentional recovery, relationships or service, spiritual or personal growth, purpose investment, chosen recreation, unplanned distraction, and open margin. Those categories are not moral rankings. Maintenance is necessary. Recreation may be healthy. Margin may be wise. Even distraction must first be seen before it can be understood. Here is the governing principle: time that is not named cannot be examined, and time that is not examined will continue obeying its defaults. Say it slowly. Unnamed time becomes unmanaged evidence. Now add 3 simple marks beside every relevant block. First, was this consciously chosen? Second, did it serve a priority you declare? Third, afterward, were you more capable or less capable of giving presence? That third mark matters. 2 activities can occupy the same duration and produce opposite conditions in you. Raw hours tell us where you were. These overlays begin to tell us what the hours were doing. Watch your transitions as well. Mark the repeated interruptions, the waiting, the switching, the restarting, the 10 minutes lost before beginning again. A week may contain several apparently unassigned hours and still feel crowded because those hours were dispersed into fragments too small, too interrupted, or too mentally expensive to use well. Name the fragments. They are part of the week, too. Then calculate the totals. How many hours went to each category? How many were consciously chosen? How many supported a declared priority? How many increased your capacity for attention, patience, and responsible presence? Bring your 2 preliminary totals into this ledger and verify them. Do not defend them. Do not condemn them. Just make them visible. Please hear me. The first task is not self-prosecution. It is clarity. You cannot responsibly redesign what you refuse to measure, and you should not judge what you have not yet understood. The totals are not yet a verdict on readiness. They must still be tested for restorative value, relational conduct, and purposeful direction. But circle one figure before you move on: the total marked unplanned distraction especially where it appears in repeated fragments. The next question is not merely how much time disappeared. It is what those hours quietly displaced. Now examine the figure you circled. Distraction is time repeatedly captured by something you did not intend to prioritize. Notice the definition. It is not defined by a device, a platform, or an activity. It is defined by intention and displacement. The question is not, did you watch something? The question is, did you decide what this block was for, or did the block decide for you? Chosen recreation has shape. You choose it, enter it, enjoy it, and leave it. It has a beginning and an ending. Open-ended consumption is different. It continues mainly because no boundary was established. One item becomes another. One check becomes a circuit. The activity is not necessarily evil. It is simply governing time you never consciously assigned to it. Write down 3 measures beside every recurring distraction. Duration. How much time did it consume altogether? Frequency. How often did it capture you? Displacement. What did it replace? That third measure tells the deeper story. Return to the person who postpones a call or a growth practice because there is supposedly no time, then gives the same evening to automatic scrolling or browsing. The issue is not that leisure occurred. The issue is that a declared priority was denied access while an undeclared default received the block. That is a transfer of authority. And watch the small withdrawals. 12 minutes here, 8 minutes there, 20 minutes after a transition, another half hour because no stopping point was chosen. No single episode looks serious enough to confront, so each one receives permission. But frequency changes structure. Many small captures can make a week unavailable even when no single capture appears dramatic. You keep waiting for one obvious thief while 100 tiny permissions empty the account. Say this clearly. Distraction is spending without a decision. Do not use that sentence to condemn technology, entertainment, or pleasure. A screen may carry work, learning, conversation, recreation, or avoidance. The object does not settle the question. Your conduct does. Did you direct the block? Did you set a boundary? Could you stop when the chosen purpose was complete? Focus, identity, boundaries, and emotional mastery all matter here because repeated defaults reveal where direction becomes weak. But distraction alone does not prove that you will fail in love. We are identifying a pattern of allocation, not assigning you a defective identity or predicting your relational future. Now circle one recurring default in your ledger. Just one. Name what usually begins it, how often it appears, and what it most commonly displaces. Do not remove it yet. Premature removal can create an empty space that the same habit quickly reclaims. First, determine whether that space needs a purposeful action, a relational commitment, or genuine recovery. Because here is the next danger. Once people recognize distraction, they often become suspicious of every low-output hour. They begin calling rest, laziness, and exhaustion indiscipline. Do not make that mistake. Some blocks that appear unproductive are returning strength to you. Others merely postpone what still waits when the block ends. Before you cut anything from the week, you must learn the difference between restoration and escape. Then let us correct the overreaction before it becomes another form of disorder. A full calendar is not proof of maturity, and exhaustion is not proof of devotion. Some people wear depletion as evidence that they are serious. No, a life can be crowded and still poorly governed. A person can be constantly occupied and have very little usable presence left for anyone. Write this down. Rest must be evaluated by what it restores. Do not judge a recovery block merely because it looks inactive. Ask what followed it. Did you return to your responsibilities with greater steadiness? Could you listen more patiently, think more clearly, and respond without carrying irritation into every demand? Did the block help you re-enter life? Then protect it. That time was not wasted. It strengthened your capacity to participate. But if the block repeatedly postpones what remains unresolved, leaves you less able to begin, and keeps extending because returning feels uncomfortable, call it honestly. It may be avoidance borrowing the language of recovery. The distinction is not always the activity. The distinction is its function. Restoration helps you return. Escape keeps arranging another delay. Now we must talk about margin. Margin is uncommitted capacity that allows an interruption, a conversation, an act of service, or a necessary adjustment without immediate resentment or collapse. Notice that margin is more than a blank square on a calendar. It includes enough attention and emotional room to respond. If every hour is assigned and every assignment depends on perfect conditions, one unexpected need can make the whole structure hostile. This resolves an earlier question. An empty hour is not automatically an available hour. Time without usable attention may support quiet, recovery, or simple maintenance, but it may not yet support meaningful presence. Love readiness requires more than hours you can point to. It requires enough restored capacity to inhabit those hours well. And be fair with your evidence. Shift work, caregiving, illness, financial pressure, and demanding seasons can reduce both time and energy. The audit must reveal those constraints before it recommends subtraction. This is calendar reflection, not medical instruction. We are not prescribing universal sleep targets, diagnosing fatigue, or pretending every body and season should perform alike. Observe your own completed week. Notice what helped you return and what repeatedly helped you hide. Now make 2 marks in your ledger. First, mark 1 recovery practice that deserves protection. Keep it in the redesign. Do not sacrifice it merely to make the calendar appear impressive. Second, mark 1 avoidance pattern that has been borrowing recovery's name. Relabel it without shame and without excuses. Say the principle again. Sustainable readiness protects the rest that returns you to life with something to give. The next test is simple and more personal. When capacity returned, who received it? Look now at the people already present. Restored capacity must go somewhere. So examine the people already in your life, not the imagined partner who may arrive later. Look at the relationships already asking for your attention, patience, and integrity. They are the nearest place where readiness can become practice. Return to your ledger and look beyond hours. Audit the conduct inside those hours. When did you listen without preparing your reply? When did you keep a promise after the emotion that produced it had faded? Where did you offer practical service, participate in community, pursue reconciliation, or remain long enough for contact to become unhurried? Presence is not merely occupying the same room. Presence is attention made available for another person's reality. Now watch the contradiction. A friend's call is postponed again because the week is supposedly too crowded, yet optional consumption continues without interruption. Be honest. Was there truly no capacity, or did the relationship receive only what remained after every easier appetite was satisfied? Relational intention says, you matter to me. Recurring conduct answers, here is the place you actually hold. Write down this question. Is relationship time protected, leftover, or convenient? Protected time has a place. Leftover time must compete with fatigue and unfinished tasks. Convenient time is offered only when the other person's need matches your mood. You do not need endless access to prove love. But if every meaningful interaction depends on ideal conditions, your relationships are being supported by accident. Do not overcorrect. Readiness does not require a crowded social life, constant conversation, or unlimited availability. Some people need more solitude. Some seasons permit fewer commitments. Healthy presence includes boundaries. A responsible no can preserve the attention required to keep a more important yes. Emotional mastery is not agreeing to every request. It is governing your response so that guilt, irritation, impulse, and avoidance do not make every decision for you. Here is the principle. Boundaries should order commitments, not excuse neglect. Say it again. Order commitments. A boundary protects recovery, purpose, and faithful attention. An excuse repeatedly avoids repair while demanding to be called self-care. You can tell the difference by examining what your boundary enables you to honor. And please release this fantasy. Meeting the right person will not automatically manufacture patience, follow-through, attentiveness, or the ability to repair. Romance may intensify desire, but it does not erase rehearsal. A future relationship will encounter the patterns your present relationships are already experiencing. Not because you cannot grow, but because arrival alone is not growth. This is evidence, not destiny. Imperfect presence does not make you unworthy of love. It shows you where practice is needed. Habits can be retrained. Promises can become smaller and more reliable. Conversations can receive boundaries. Repair can begin sooner. Choose one person already present. Place one specific act of attentive contact, practical service, promise keeping, or reconciliation into the redesigned week. Give it a time and a boundary. Then ask the wider question. Beyond the people your week serves, what purpose is your week steadily building? Purpose begins with that wider question, but do not answer it with an impressive slogan. I am not asking you to summarize your entire life in one sentence. Name the primary purpose, responsibility of your present season. What are you responsible to develop, contribute, learn, prepare, or faithfully complete now? Write the answer plainly. Perhaps this season requires spiritual practice, serious learning, the development of a craft, meaningful work, service, or preparation for a responsibility ahead. Purpose at this scale is not fantasy. It is the direction your present responsibilities require. Now return to the completed calendar. Where did that direction receive time? Show me the blocks. How much time went to spiritual alignment, learning, craft, contribution, preparation, or meaningful work connected to what you just named? Do not count enthusiasm. Do not count how often you discussed the goal. Count its scheduled expression. Here is a painful contradiction. An important goal can live beautifully in notes, conversations, and private imagination while never receiving one protected appointment. It feels significant because you think about it frequently, but thought without placement does not yet create movement. If it matters enough to shape your life, it must appear repeatedly in the structure of your life. Let me make this clear. Purpose investment is not productivity obsession. We are not trying to fill every hour, eliminate recreation, or convert your worth into output. You are not more valuable because you completed more tasks. Faithful direction is the issue. A modest block, used consistently, may reveal more alignment than a frantic week crowded with activity that leads nowhere you intend to go. Say this aloud. Purpose needs practice, not performance. Now consider the relational risk carefully. When purpose has no scheduled expression, an imagined relationship can quietly become responsible for supplying momentum, identity, or meaning that you have not yet begun to cultivate. This does not prove that you are using people. It reveals a burden the fantasy may be carrying. You begin to imagine that once someone arrives, you will become focused, spiritually grounded, courageous, or disciplined. But a partner is a person, not an assignment to invent your direction. Ask yourself the decisive question, could a future partnership enter the direction I am already practicing, or would that partnership first have to create the direction for me? Partnership can encourage purpose, refine it, and sometimes redirect it through shared responsibility. But encouragement is different from rescue. A healthy union should have something meaningful to join. So choose one purpose block for the redesigned week. Keep it modest, keep it honest. It may be 30 minutes of study, one focused craft session, a defined act of contribution, or a protected period of preparation. Fit it to your real energy, obligations, and season. Give it a clear beginning, a clear task, and a repeatable place. The governing principle has not changed. What matters must receive repeatable time if it is expected to shape a life. You have now examined distraction, recovery, relationships, and purpose. The next work is architecture. Where will each retained priority live, and what will protect it when the week is interrupted? Gather the evidence. Bring the recurring distraction, the protected recovery practice, the relationship commitment, and the purpose appointment into one calendar. But begin with reality. Place the immovable responsibilities first. Work, caregiving, health needs, household duties, necessary travel, and every honest constraint of this season. If the redesign ignores those facts, it is not a plan. It is decoration. Now order what remains. Necessary obligations first, then genuine recovery, then spiritual or personal formation, then purpose investment, current relationships or service, chosen recreation, and open margin. This order is not a ranking of human worth. It is a practical sequence for making sure the loudest appetite does not occupy every unclaimed hour. Write down the rule. Remove one, reduce one, protect three, preserve one. Remove one needless, capture the recurring default you already identified. Reduce one excess that may be legitimate in moderation, but has been consuming more than you consciously chose. Protect one recovery block, one relationship block, and one purpose block. Then preserve at least one realistic block of margin. Do not assign that margin secretly. If you fill it before the week begins, it is not margin. Watch this carefully. Every protected block needs three things: a start, an end, and a defense. When I have time is not a start. Until I feel finished is not an end. I will try not to be interrupted is not a defense. Give the block an actual beginning, an actual stopping point, and one boundary against its most predictable interruption. Move the phone away during a conversation. Decline a lower priority request that would displace a responsibility already accepted. Set a stopping point for entertainment before it begins. Boundaries are not declarations of importance. Boundaries are decisions made before familiar pressure arrives. Now take a breath. Do not build a calendar designed to impress you for one evening. A week with no breathing room may look disciplined and still collapse under ordinary life. Keep chosen recreation. Keep the recovery that restores you. Keep enough margin for delay, service, emotional decompression, and the unexpected. Readiness is not maximal activity, it is sustainable capacity. And prepare a contingency version. Ask, if this becomes a demanding week, what is the smallest faithful form of each protected priority? The full relationship block may become a brief, attentive contact. The purpose appointment may become a shorter, clearly defined action. Spiritual or personal formation may be reduced without being abandoned. Recovery may need to become simpler, not disappear. A disruption should change the scale of the plan, not erase its direction. Say the principle aloud. A priority becomes credible when it has a place, a boundary, and a repeatable return after disruption. Now place the redesigned calendar beside the opening week. What is the clearest visible change? Which declared priority finally received time? Which passive default lost authority? Where can you now see recovery, attention, spiritual alignment, service, and purposeful direction working together? Practical organization can make commitments easier to execute. Clear boundaries can protect focus. Neither guarantees romance, and this calendar cannot summon a relationship. It can only make your present structure more capable of sustaining responsible presence if love enters it. Keep both calendars. The first records what happened. The second is only a proposal. Do not admire it yet. The final question is whether you can live it through 7 ordinary days and record what survives. Then begin with the next full day. Not next Monday. Not the first day of a quieter month. Not after a relationship milestone gives you motivation. The redesigned calendar has already said enough. Now ordinary life must answer. For 7 completed days, live the plan and keep a brief daily record. At the end of each day, write 4 lines. What did I protect? What was displaced? What captured time unexpectedly? What adjustment will I make tomorrow? Keep it brief, but keep it honest. The purpose is not to produce a perfect report. The purpose is to see whether your structure can learn without collapsing. Now speak your commitment and write it down. For the next 7 days I will interrupt, and I will give the recovered time to name the distraction, name the priority. Do not write waste less time or be more disciplined. Those phrases can hide from measurement. Identify the recurring capture and identify the specific responsibility that will receive what you recover. Then act. Spoken commitment establishes direction. Written commitment preserves clarity. Behavioral commitment produces evidence. You need all 3. At the end of 7 days, place the planned calendar beside the lived calendar. Examine the difference through all 6 lenses: distraction, availability, priorities, recovery, relationships, and purpose. Do not celebrate merely because you were busy. Busyness can still conceal contradiction. Ask 6 proof questions. Did your declared priorities actually receive time? Was recovery protected well enough to restore capacity? Did you offer usable presence to people already in your life? Did purpose receive a real appointment? Was at least one recurring default interrupted by a boundary? Was any margin preserved when ordinary disruption arrived? Answer yes, no, or partly, then write the evidence. Partly is not failure when it is accurate. It tells you what needs a smaller form, a stronger defense, a different time, or a more realistic expectation. The goal is not an impressive week. The goal is a believable one. Now gather the laws you have learned. Unmeasured time hides contradiction. Unprotected priorities become wishes. Exhaustion is not presence. Current relationships reveal present practice. Purpose requires placement, and a redesigned week must be lived before it can be trusted. Return to the calendar that opened this examination. At first, you had intentions and two totals that had not yet been interpreted. Now you can hold two pieces of evidence: the completed audit of the week you actually lived, and the recorded trial of the week you deliberately redesigned. One exposed the recurring pattern, the other tested whether that pattern could change under ordinary pressure. This assignment does not earn love. It does not guarantee a partner, predict when someone will arrive, or prove that every relationship will succeed. Its result is more immediate and more honest. Greater integrity between what you say matters and what repeatedly receives your time. You are not being asked to predict your future. You are being asked to make your next 7 days believable. Keep both calendars. Begin with the next full day. Record the 4 lines each evening. After 7 days, review the 6 questions. Retain what survived. Revise what failed. And repeat the audit whenever your schedule begins contradicting your declared priorities again.